that she did. This kind of routine. And I remember one night I came home from work and I think she was on the phone or something, or busy. She was doing something, and so I sat down on the couch and I took my boots off, and suddenly Miss Heard approached with this look on her face that she just said, "What did you just do? What did you do?" I said, what do you mean? You took your boots off. I said, yeah, yes, I did. You were busy, you know. No, that's my job. That's what I do. You don't do that. I do that. Okay, all right then. And then she said, let me get you a glass of wine. And she brought me a glass of wine.
So this can seem like, Taylor, I see your face. What is your initial reaction to this? Because I might have a different one.
Just, very weird, like this weird power dynamic of like, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to serve you, but I'm going to serve you in these ways. But it's like, if you don't submit to how I'm serving you and how I want to do it, then we're going to have problems. It's like this weird form of manipulation through faux servitude.
Right, because imagine being the person going through this relationship and then being like trying to express to people how that's crazy, and they're like, dude, she takes your boots off every night and she gives you a glass of wine and you're complaining right now. You're just
but if I take my own off, then I get in trouble.
Right.
And then she scowls at me and then brings me a glass of wine. So I'd be like, what's in this?
Right. I sat here just thinking about it like, okay, I could see how somebody could be in a relationship like this and be like, no, it's just because she loves me. She just wants to do things for me, and that's what it is. But I'm like, what could be the underlying manipulative factors of this is that coming home and taking your shoes off is a pretty normal standard thing to do, and to always have to rely on your spouse or whoever you're in a relationship with to do that for you is a very strong sign of codependency. It seems to be a sign of codependency on Amber's part in this case, because Johnny was perfectly fine with just taking his boots off on his own. But it seems like she wants to build that sense of codependency. Like, you need me here to give you your glass of wine at the end of the night and to take your shoes off. And if I'm not here, that doesn't get done. And eventually, if you hone that in enough and it becomes a regimen and it becomes just socially conditioned, sort of like this Pavlovian response to getting home every night from work, you will become dependent on that person. And it sounds like in a lot of this that Amber Heard is very starved for love and affection and lashes out when she doesn't get it in exactly the way that she wants it, which is just a sad way to live, a very sad way to live. When I look at people like Amber Heard, and you hear about just the horrible manner that they treat people in and the way that they abuse other people, the first emotion that you feel is just, oh, that's so upsetting, so disgusting, you're so frustrating. And secondary to that is just this deep pity that I feel for people like that, because you know that if that person cannot grow and change and learn to accept things and accept themselves, they're never going to feel true love. They will never know what that feels like, and they'll be deprived of that for the rest of their lives. So as angry as you can be at somebody like that, and there's anger there, certainly, I just feel bad for them at the end of the day. If you don't grow out of that behavior and out of that way of looking at the world and treating other people, you're going to be miserable. And it seems like she's miserable and just wants to make other people feel that way. And to go as far as to make a false accusation against somebody in order to bring them down, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And you can see during these trials, if you go and watch the videos, there's so much more testimony that you can go and watch. Security guards backing this up, assistants backing this up, a therapist saying, you know, I saw Johnny and Amber in tandem and I witnessed the levels of abuse and heard it from the firsthand perspective of what was going on there. One interesting piece of testimony is their therapist, their marriage counselor, saying, during our therapy sessions, Amber would just steamroll Johnny in conversations. He would try to explain himself. She would express his feelings for him. She would not let him talk. She would interject in his conversations, and that she felt like Johnny had no sort of voice in their marriage, or in their therapy sessions whatsoever, to be able to express the issues and the things that he was experiencing. And it's got to be just a horrible thing, especially to experience as a man. I can't imagine how weak you feel as an individual to have to go through that. And it makes you wonder. I saw all this stuff and heard all this testimony, and I immediately thought of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, because it seems like the same thing. And it's interesting because these are men that when you think about them, when you think about Will Smith and Johnny Depp, you think of just like these big powerhouse actors, entrepreneurs, businessmen, rich, successful, who have gotten rich and successful through using their voice, through communicating, and through reaching some sort of visceral emotion in other people that makes them powerful and successful. And to see them in their relationships be the exact opposite of that and have that sort of stripped from them is so strange. And I have to wonder, like, who are these women and what are they like? Not that I want to meet them, because from what I'm hearing, they sound horrible. And everything that I've seen about Jada Pinkett Smith sounds horrible. But who are these women that are able to just get in these men's lives and completely destroy them? I don't know. Have you ever met a woman like this, or like ever had an experience like that?
I mean, I've witnessed people being manipulated before, and I've seen manipulative men and women. But yeah, this whole thing just reeks of just dysfunctional humans. And, you know, it's like the old saying, hurt people hurt people. Like, there's clearly some messed up trauma or just dysfunctional psychology that's going on both sides.
Yep,
but
both sides. Especially
on the side of the manipulator, at least they should be more at fault in these scenarios. But yeah, it just goes to show you that you know, the money and the fame doesn't exempt you from the dysfunction. And if you don't have good virtue, good morals, good character, good values, and you're not don't apply those in your relationship and who you end up with, you can end up in a very bad situation. It can happen to you no matter how much money you have. Right.
And a lot of this, I feel like, it's got to be somewhat attached to this feminization of men and this hyper masculine female era that we're going through right now that I'm just ready to end. I hope it ends very, very soon, because I have a feeling this is going to become a trend. We're going to start seeing this pattern of just, and we kind of already are, if any of you are in the dating scene right now, of just like hyper masculine women just walking all over men.
What was your tweet that you did a while ago, that like the feminist movement has turned men into subpar men and women into subpar men?
Yes. Yeah. The modern day feminist movement has turned men into subpar men and women into subpar men. That is exactly what is happening. So we're all just these substandard, semi-masculine beings that are just walking around trying to build relationships with each other, and it's not working. And it's not working because it's really not natural. You have to, as a woman, in many ways, there are some naturally masculine women who just go about their day and that's how they are. And I've met plenty of women who are like that. And most of those women, when they find men that are more masculine than them. I think, honestly, I haven't thought about this enough, but I have a proclivity to believe that if you are a woman, you should just gauge your masculine tendencies, and then you need to look for a man that's more masculine than that. But right now we're in a culture where women are building up this masculinity and all these masculine traits and trying to adopt them as hard as they can and hold on to them. And then they're finding men who are less masculine than they are. And, you know, the sort of whole simp culture thing, and subjugating those guys and being like, oh, I love this. This is great. Even though deep down, women want masculine men. I know some of you are going to say you don't or whatever, and there are women who don't, but they represent outliers to what is a general rule of women wanting masculine men. I'm just saying.
Say it, Amla. And you're right. It's part